On the other hand, your readings on the Quran made you say that Islamism is at the same time the most interesting and the less interesting of the monotheisms. Let's talk about the most interesting in Islamism.
Islam claims to be the culmination, maybe we should say the consummation, of the previous revelations, Abraham, Moses, Jesus. And so it doesn't deny these, it says these also occurred, but now God wanted to round it off, bring the last words, after which there's no need for any more inquiries. There are no more questions. All the questions have been answered now. All you need is to recognize the good news and to fall on your knees in front of it. Well, this is a very dangerous doctrine, of course, because it literally suggests that the time for human inquiry has come to an end. That we already have all the information that we need. Nothing could be more horrible than that. And it contains also, underneath itself, it contains a direct threat. If you don't agree with this, there's something really wrong with you, and you may have to be brought into line. And the measures taken may have to be very severe.
But this is very close to the other religions, the other monotheist religions too.
Yes. It is of course true
what is the difference?
Mr. Ratzinger, Herr Ratzinger, the Bavarian who calls himself the Bishop of Rome, and is called by his supporters, but not by me, the Pope, has recently said that only the Roman Catholic version of Christianity is the true faith. And of course he has no choice but to say this. That is indeed the teaching of the Church, and he wanted to reaffirm it. There had been some weakening on this point. They've been saying that since before the Prophet Muhammad. But the difference, I think, is this. There is no denunciation in the Christian Bible of the Muslim teaching, whereas the Muslim teaching says, oh yes, we understand the Christian Bible, we come after it, we're the final, we're the last. It's more analogous to what Christians say, some of them say about the Jews, either that they got everything wrong and that they killed Christ and they're heretics, or sometimes when they're in a good mood, that they got everything right, they invented monotheism, and all they need is to realize that the Messiah has already come. You're not waiting for him, he already arrived. My view as an atheist is that all religions are equally false. They're false in the same way. They prefer faith to reason.
There's also a very interesting chapter in your book, the most generous, I would say, where you make the question, do religion make people behave better? And surprisingly, you say yes when you speak about Martin Luther King.
No, I say no. I'm sorry.
Well, I understood that you had...
No, I say that the case for civil rights for African Americans, black Americans, was complete long before Dr. King was born, and had been made by atheists and secularists, black atheists and secularists.
You recognize the important role he had
that
in
rhetorically, for someone, the justification for racism and for slavery was Christian, specifically Christian. So that it's very brilliant rhetorically to be able to use the language of Christianity, dialectically, so to say, against itself. But it adds nothing to the proof that racism and slavery are to be condemned morally. To be able to do it in New Testament or Old Testament terms, the case had already been made. It's just a great propaganda victory, a great rhetorical victory. It doesn't make anyone behave. Religion has never made anyone behave any better. We can certainly not say, however, that it has not made people behave worse, because otherwise there wouldn't have been the Christian justification for slavery for 2,000 years and the Jewish justification before that to begin with. All the justifications for slavery are religious.
You belong, of course, to a small and selected group of evolutionists who proposes renewed Illuminism centered on man. Man is the main object of study. People as Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett, who call themselves the Brights.
Let me put it like this: I cannot claim an inner brightness for myself. If you want to say you see it in me, I'm on it. But I can't tell you you ought to be seeing it. That would be arrogant on my part. I'm also not certain that we say or should say that the center of the system is human or is mankind. In fact, we've spent a long time trying to show people that it was the church who wanted to persuade us that the whole universe was centered on us. That's why they didn't like Galileo. They wanted us to believe that the sun went around the earth, that the whole of the universe was centered on our globe. We tell people to the contrary. We hardly even live in the suburbs, even in the outer suburbs of the known universe. And it's time that we realized how very small our role in this is. And only when we understand our sense of proportion are we likely to be able to think rationally about it.
But inner brightness is also a definition of God, and there are others too. For instance, I picked up one from the leftist philosopher Tony Negri, who is not exactly a religious person, and he says that the only possible definition for God is the excess, the superabundance, the joy.
Excess or superabundance. What there is a huge...
There is not.
No, there isn't. There's a huge deficit. We don't use our reason enough. We have faculties of reason and inquiry and skepticism that we neglect. We don't overuse them, we underuse them. It would be a great day if there was a surplus value to this. But there isn't.
Anyway, can we believe that humanity is moving forward to this brightness?
I don't think we're moving forward at all.
Not at all?
No. I think at the moment we're moving backward. I think the forces of theocracy are growing faster.
All over the place?
And with more confidence, yes, and with more violence, with greater numbers than the forces of reason are doing. I think that the period of human enlightenment may look, in retrospect, like a very brief, very small fraction of a second in human evolution, between about 1680 and about now, and may be about to go into eclipse.
Well, thank you very much, Christopher. It was very nice talking to you.
Nada.
Let's hope for better times.